It's April's Fool's Day. So I thought, okay, since Jonathan Sachs, that humor is one of the biggest assets in of the Jewish people to battle severe situations and deal with hardship. I thought, okay, I have a Corona hairdo today. Um, I don't have a partner. I don't have dogs or children that give me the impulse to kill somebody, spark it. And but I would like to go to the hairdresser. Probably is only possible in about 6 months. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about Chazeret, and about maror. Chazeret and maror. Bitter herbs. It's in Tanakh, in Exodus, in Shemot 12, Pasuk 8, verse 8. That same night they must roast the meat over a fire and eat it, along with matzot and bitter herbs, merorim. ואכלו את הבשר בלילה הזה צלי אש ומצות על מרורים יאכלוהו. Now, what is merorim? Bitter. We have no idea. The only thing is that it's probably very wise of Tanakh, of Torah, to say that you have to eat the roast lamb, the offering of the lamb, the roasted lamb, with herbs, and probably bitter herbs, because bitter herbs have even more bacterial, antibacterial qualities sometimes than smelling herbs. And smelling herbs, it's really attested that oregano and thyme and garlic and ginger and rosemary and all that sort of stuff, if you lay that in a vicinity of meat that has not yet been fried or roasted, that the bacteria will just be killed. And it's also, again, good for your gut and some of these things. And that also is true for bitter herbs. Mostly in Ashkenazi areas or communities, we use horseradish, and also horseradish has an anti ill making quality. Now it says merorim, but we basically, and the rabbis also basically, do not quite know, because the word that might seem similar in a similar situation is in Tanakh is something completely different, and is also poisonous. So you should not take that. And but in the Mishnah, in the oral tradition, they have a variety of herbs and greens that they say, if you want to fulfill this mitzvah to eat merorim, you can do it with the following, and that is chazeret, lettuce basically, ulashin, which is endives or chicory, tamcha. It's called cardoon in English, and it's an artichoke family of a sort of a spiky thing, a spiky distal. Chachavina, also a distal, and you can eat the roots, and you can eat the flower tops, and maror. And maror is translated in English as sonchus. I have no idea what sonchus is, but it seems to be also, again, some of a plant which is has some sort of quality. It seems to be a distal, a blue sea distal. I have no clue, but also that is supposed to be fulfilling the mitzvah, and that one is called no. Okay, so you have different plants that turn out to be bitter, but don't right away bitter. It's lettuce, for instance, is soft and then gets hard, and it's sweet, and it starts when you keep eating on it, it gets a little bitter, and that is what the rabbis prefer, Chazeret, the lettuce they prefer. But before they come to that conclusion, they have a whole lot of other words that they use. So they have, for instance, also kervil, chalchalin. They have wild endives. They have different sort of endives. They have asfas, tura, maror, which is supposed to be a sweet type of myrrh. Chazeret yolin, chazeret chalin, charchinin, chardok, fanin, and arkablim. So they really don't quite, they are really struggling with it, and finally they say, well, the best thing to fulfill the mitzvot of merorim is to take chazeret, which is lettuce. Why lettuce? Because it reminds us of the Egyptians, the slavery that's always starts pretty nice. Even in nowadays, you know, you come from abroad, you want to work as a housemaid or as a gardener, and they give you all these fantastic sort of perspective. You will have a good food, and you have housing, and you have a good payment, and then what they do is they take your passport and you work like a slave, and it's bitter then and now. And it also reminds the rabbis this bitterness of lettuce, first sweet and then harsh, of the Egyptians themselves, who first are behaving pretty nicely, but in long run they start being more harsh and harsh and harsh, and they're really going to oppress us. But we still are puzzled with this Chazeret and maror. Now, what happened in the Middle Ages when the Jews of Europe went from West to Eastern Europe, it was more and more difficult to find lettuce because it isn't there in the Pesach time. So they start using maror, or the grein, the, what is it called in English actually? The horseradish. They start using horseradish. So the two of the things start to differ. Horseradish was what was the fulfilling by some people, and chazeret, the green stuff, by the others. So we have now a very complete sort of mix up of these words, and that's why we have sort of the two of them on the Pesach dish. We eat the chazeret right at the end before we start the real meal, together with the matzahs as the sandwich of Hillel, and before that we eat the horseradish a little bit, to have a taste of the bitterness that we experienced in Egypt, that we experience always in history, and that we experience sometimes in our life also, especially now when we sometimes have to deal with people who are ill and are in hospital, and let's hope that they get through. Anyway, that was Chazeret, maror, and tomorrow the next one. Have a good time and bleib gesund.